Okay, we took a little vacation in the hill country of Texas, and I'll show you a few pictures of that as we tell you what we're going to talk about. We have, of course, the season 4 finale of Star Trek Discovery and also the second episode of Star Trek Picard, both having their degree of surprises. And we'll try not to spoil it for you, but there's a lot to talk about coming up after this. Hello out there, I'm the oldest nerd, and as you can see from the pictures here, we have a number of dogs that accompanied us on a walk across this ranch that we stayed on while we were on vacation in the hill country, not far from Austin, Texas. Beautiful country in there, but we're happy to be back here at Farpoint Studio to talk about two significant episodes. The end of Discovery was to not surprisingly find that they were able to save Earth. I'll make that a spoiler. They saved Earth. But you knew that when we drove in. You knew that the ship wasn't going to be destroyed. They probably weren't going to destroy the species 10C. But what we're going to have is a very suspenseful episode in which the attempt to make peace while one faction is attempting anything but. And the fight that got Book put into the detention area of his own ship, and along with Jet Reno, is the source of a couple of good lines. Reno has already determined that if they are to set off this device and try to run away, that they'll be destroyed. And she says that, that's the good news. And he says, what's good about that? She said, we die fast. I hate pain. It's a good line. And then when they inevitably have to come up with a plan in order to break out, Book puts it to Reno, who says, is this where I say I was born ready? I thought those were both very good lines there. Easter eggs in the episode include the USS Yeltsin, which is the tribute to Anton Yeltsin, who sadly died in a freak accident right before they released the third reboot Star Trek movie. We see some interesting new ships as the fleet heads to Earth and to Ni'Var to try to evacuate as many people as possible. They say during that they might be able to get a few 100,000 people evacuated, but not nearly the population of Earth or its solar colonies, or for Ni'Var for that matter. So it is something where they would be able to make some kind of rescue, but certainly not a complete one. And in this, we have Tilly back as a teacher in the academy who joins along with Admiral Vance after the cadets, who have now been promoted to, pretty quickly promoted to active duty Starfleet people, are sent away from the main ship that's there to do whatever defense they can do while they're waiting for the DMA to arrive. Tilly's part of this, of course, was saying how little she regrets about her life, how she is exactly where she should be, especially now with everything at stake. She wouldn't want to be anywhere else. And so there's kind of a bond between her and Admiral Vance I thought was pretty good. We don't see as much of the group of diplomats as we did in previous episodes. They're talked about, but not really given many lines. And we do have a situation where, once again, we get to see the Federation president use her diplomatic prowess. And when it all comes down to it, they find that the species is different than anything anybody has ever seen, but they have the same basic humanity, shall we say, that is the hallmark of the Federation. So with some interesting little twists and turns in there, one of which I thought was kind of a cheat, honestly. Whenever certain things happen, they're irreversible and unredeemable. And so I'm not certain that that was the way I would have handled it. Although I think that by the time all is said and done, it was still quite a good episode. So what we have is the attempted rescue of as many people as they can from Earth and Ni'Var, while inside the orb. Discovery does some pretty good things, including a daring use of their spore drive. This all built the tension. It was a very emotional episode. I thought that everybody played their parts very good. We see an advance in the relationship between Saru and Tarina. And we also give a couple of nods to other members of the bridge crew, which is always a good thing. So all in all, I think it was a very good way to end the season. It does not have a cliffhanger at the end. That opens it up for whatever they're going to do in season 5. So instead of kind of setting it up this time, they have kind of a blank canvas, and I think that's a good thing. So that's Discovery in the finale. We give it probably the highest rate of any of the episodes this season. It was very effective. It used some cheap tricks, but then I can't blame them. They worked. Now on to Star Trek Picard. We go to, and this one is called Assimilated. And we know that there's going to be problems anytime that you hooked the Borg Queen up to the ship, that she might take them through time, but it might come as a price. And at the end of last week's episode, where there were pretty much been caught in their skullduggery, and the ship is held. There are a number of ships that are bearing down on them, and the president's husband and some security people beam aboard the ship and start into a gunfight. We won't get into the fact that of how they did it, but they managed, with the help of the Borg Queen, to go back in time nonetheless. It did wreak some havoc on the ship, however, and caused transporter problems, which you'd think by the 24th century they'd have figured out how to fix a clanky transporter, but in this case, instead of having their personalities split in two, or being suspended in transit, or any of the other manufactured ways that transporters go wrong, it just wasn't exactly right in its directionality. So in attempting to beam our heroes into Los Angeles, it sends them in various parts of town, and Rios gets separated from them. And at the end of the episode, we find that Rios is still lost. So part of their problem is not going to be finding the person they need to talk to that caused the change in history, but first to make sure that Rios does not activate the butterfly effect and cause a change of history. Or maybe he was the change. You know how sometimes time travel can be timey-wimey. At any rate, it was also an emotional episode. It had a lot of suspense in it. There is some social commentary of Los Angeles being a beautiful place with tall, gleaming buildings, but also tents and homeless people and crime and things such as that. So it's not treated for laughs when they go back, like, for instance, they did in Star Trek 4. Of course, the episode and the one coming up next was directed by Leah Thompson. She knows a little something about time travel. And she did, while she treated it seriously, there are a few little things from Back to the Future referencing that you might see in there. There are a couple of interesting effects. The time travel effect that they actually used was something that was very similar to how they did time warp in Star Trek 4, The Voyage Home, and is done, if not better, certainly with better special effects than they had before. And like I said, a few touches there that gives the director her own signature on this. We learn a bit more about Agnes. She is brilliant and a cyber scientist, whatever they called her in the first series, and never really showed much of that throughout the rest of last season. And this time, while they're showing her ditzy side, they're also showing in this episode just how brilliant she is. And so that's something to be noted there. The episode ends in a cliffhanger as Seven and Raffi are separated from Rios, and we have to get them to find Rios before they can get on with their regular mission of being able to find the Watcher who can give them a clue as to what changed history and how they can fix it. It's an important episode, and one that is treated with some pathos, some humor, and also some pretty good lines in it, which I will leave for your consideration. Meanwhile, I want to mention to you that this shirt and the sign back here are not advertisements. That was one of the things that we went to see when we were. We took a tour of this craft brewery there. If you're a fan of Supernatural, that is the brewery that's owned by Jason Ackles, who played Dean Winchester in Supernatural. So we took the tour through there. At any rate, it's not advertising for it. You can't buy their stuff outside of the general area where their brewery is located. But I kind of like the sign, so we've added it to our decor here. So please give me a subscription and a click on the bell so you know when the next video is coming your way. And if you have comments, please leave them below, and we'll read them all and answer most of them. So thank you very much for watching, and until next time, don't go far.